But isn't it if they're saying it in the work environment? What if you're not in the work environment when you say it?
The same test still applies. Actually, those are the exact facts of the Supreme Court case in Pickering. There was a teacher who sent a letter to the editor about some issue involving the school. He did it in his personal capacity. And there the school said, does it disrupt the work environment? If the answer is yes, then the school's rights outweigh the teacher's rights. And in that instance, you can be fired. That is, I think, the relevant test here. And I think that's what we're seeing exactly with these examples you just laid out.
Do you think, Adam, do you think they tripped the test or no?
Well, I think the kindergarten teacher who was pantomiming being shot certainly seems to have come awfully close to it. My recollection of the facts there was that the school shut down their website because they were getting some feedback, and I don't think we have to be, a mind reader to anticipate that they probably did get some feedback. If the school could show some set of facts that would lead them to believe a disruption was imminent, then some reaction from the school would be within the school's rights.
What about the Georgia example?
I feel the Georgia example is much tougher. Here we have somebody who said something that I think we could probably agree was uncharitable and I think objectively false to the extent she's characterizing Kirk's politics. But that essentially means she was wrong. She said something on the internet and she was wrong. Well, finding somebody wrong on the internet by itself is not such a remarkable thing that a school would shut down. I assure you that if being wrong on the internet would shut down a school, schools would never operate.
Look, you guys are making the right analysis. I just don't like it. I don't like your analyses here. Why? Because I really believe that you have to tolerate what you don't like and what you don't agree with and what you think is ugly and stupid. And I get that they're teaching kids. It'd be different if they said it to the kids. I'm more aware of the Pickering standard. I like to play dumb on TV, Chad. It works very well for me. It's very natural. But the subjectivity of the analysis to me. The third example, though, I think he tiptoed up to the line, Chad, and he's not the only guy I've heard say things like that. I don't want to say any names because I don't want people to have violence directed toward them. But saying the way to deal with ICE is for you to get a gun, what does that mean to you in terms of a legal analysis?
To me, that only crosses the line of this person should be fired. We're now in potentially criminal territory. Right? If you are actively threatening federal agents, if you're actively threatening the president, the attorney general, ICE agents, Secretary Noem, if you're encouraging other people to commit violence against them, we're past whether you should lose your job or not. And we're now talking about whether you should lose your liberty.
By the way, it's where we're going. Just so you know, my theory of the case, Adam, is fundamentalism, extreme thought is taking root in America thanks to social media in a way I've never seen it before. And once you're in the extreme game, it just has its own momentum. And you know what I get pushback on about this idea? Well, no, I said you should have a gun in case they come to arrest you and you're not supposed to be arrested. You're a citizen. That's what they're saying. That's not wrong. It's not wrong to shoot a law officer because they make a bad arrest. I mean, how does that meet your ears, Adam?
Well, from the First Amendment standard, I think it doesn't quite get there. I don't think it's imminent enough unless you've got a firing squad of people there with guns and you're directing them to fire. I think it might not reach that line. It's certainly bad advice, and it's not something anybody should do. But does it meet the line of incitement? I don't think it's imminent enough to quite do that. But I agree with you also that there's a duality here where we have a disgust emotion that we want to put things that are disgusting to us far away from us. And we also want to then build a society, a free society, where people have the breathing room and the grace to be wrong and to learn from their mistakes. And how do we do those two things together? I think we're all wrestling with the same questions, and we don't necessarily draw the lines in the same places, but those are the problems. And those problems get exponentially more difficult in the context of public schools, because you add in this element of no one should be getting between the parent and the child in their schooling, and this becomes that much harder.
Right, but you got to be careful about policing the people who are teaching the students on the function of what they do outside the classroom versus what they do in the classroom. And that has also been blurred for convenience and advantage, like everything else is. Everything is about what one side can use against the other to show its worst. Chad, Adam, thank you. for the brains, but also thank you for the gut instinct on this. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.